The links to join the channel here over on subscribe. Our thanks to everyone who has very generously donated. So Elon Musk and is social media turning away from woke? What's the future of social media? Could it, if social media, you realize like politics can be downstream from culture. Like this is why people were cat ladies and soy boys were so worked up about Twitter, is because they know, like, the left wing is way more politically conscious than the right wing. They know politics is downstream from culture. They knew Twitter, Facebook is far left wing echo chambers. Like, who controls elections? The Google and Apple App Store ultimately control elections, and then the social media, and then the any of the financial institutions that have to go through them, and then the social media platforms that are tied to them. And you look at it, it's like, yeah, so this is like a half dozen to a dozen companies that really kind of rule the West, and everyone seems to be okay with that. It's like maybe they shouldn't. Maybe the sovereign nations should. No. Corporations need to have a seat at the table. It's like, yeah, why is like Schwab and Bill Gates at the United Nations? That doesn't bode well for the concept of we the people and sovereignty. So the thing is, the left is way more cognizant of a lot of things, where the right is was up until very recently a just wanted to grill sort of thing, which is a losing strategy. But like I said, and myself included, up until very recently, that is starting to change, and we'll see where we'll see where that pendulum swings. So they know that Elon buying Twitter is a huge, huge deal, even if he loosens up the rules just a little bit, or even if he doesn't. Like, listen, nobody wants to see N-word towers on Twitter. The vast majority of people don't want to see that. And the funny thing is, you don't see any of that on Gab, because there's no political censorship on Gab, so you'll literally never see that on Gab, because it's like you don't do something that you're allowed to do just to be like oppositional defiance disorder. It's like people don't do that stuff in Telegram or Gab or the alt media platform, because there's no need to. You can just say whatever you want as long as it's political speech, as long as it's nothing of a prurient interest. Anything other than that is allowed, so you don't see it. So ironically, you only see it on Twitter, but most people don't want to see that kind of base juvenile level humor on Twitter. So it's not necessarily that you eased up the free speech for the rights a little bit, yes, but it's also that you are enforcing timeouts and suspensions and penalties on the left wing also. When Ethan Klein is impersonating people, and then he's doing account, he got his thing deleted off H3H. He got deleted off of Twitter for impersonating someone, and then he was using his wife's verified account, and then she got deleted off Twitter for impersonating, because I'm ban evading. It's like, I think it's only temporary, but still, it's God, that guy's so childish. So my point is, all you have to do is enforce the rules equally on everybody, and up until now, it had not been. It had been the people who run the company. Yes, it's top down, but when the top down is hiring very far left wing, cat lady extremists, you're gonna have a platform that sucks. And he has loosened up the rules a little bit, and he has enforced it a little bit more equally. And also with Twitter, it's like, give him 3 months before you worry about people just losing their mind over his latest tweet. He was talking about free speech is not free reach or something. It's like, give him 3 months. Can you give him 3 months? I think it's been 3 weeks. Give him 3 months. So could Twitter replace Facebook and YouTube? Yeah, absolutely. There's nothing to stop it. Facebook is already dying. It's kind of in the grandfather stage of a company where, like, Facebook and YouTube are never going to go away, but they could definitely enter kind of a sunset period where they just kind of slowly shrink. But to add a video hosting and live streaming tab to Twitter, that seems like an obvious. That doesn't seem like an insurmountable hurdle to do, to try to create, like he was talking about earlier, the Twitter X, which is all. It's like when the PDAs and cell phones and MP3 players were coming out, like, you looked at that and you go, oh, they're just going to come. You should just combine this into one device, and they slowly did, and now the cell phone literally does. It's a computer in your hand. It does everything. Including video production. It's amazing. It's like, then you look at social media platforms and go, yeah, that this vertical micro blogging scroll format that you see on Gab's Facebook, Twitter, you could put that on YouTube, and then vice versa. They could all kind of do the same thing. You could just have one super platform. And there's a lot of stuff you could do, like within the platform itself, where you have, like, if you make videos and you say you cover like comic books, sports, and politics, but people only want to have alerts set the comic book stuff, it's like, well, they could set the alerts for that. Like you have these tabs on your channel, they set the alerts for what they want, and then when you upload the video, you mark the videos. It's like there's a lot you could do to improve these type of videos. When you go to someone's channel, like a Geeks and Gamer channel, which is kind of like there are a couple channels like that were like master level channels where they have a bunch of different features because they have different people working on the show. It's like a website that uses YouTube where it's got sports, politics, pop culture, music, whatever, and you just scroll the area you want. YouTube could have a lot of improvements on it, but they just haven't for some reason. They haven't done a lot, and it's like when it feels like it's entering a grandfather phase in the there's another, what's the word where it starts with S? Oh, is senescence phase? I forget. Senescence. I have to look it up. But the sunset phase, where it's kind of like it's not coming out with new products and new features, and even if they do, the excitement has passed. It's like Marvel and Disney. Like there's no excitement for Disney now because it is just passed. Where Twitter has that excitement. Where if Twitter says, "Yeah, we're going to do Twitter X. We're going to have an all-in-one. We're going to have video hosting. We're going to have live streaming. It's going to be monetized. It's going to be the all-in-one platform." There's no reason not to do that. You could have, like, YouTube could have done that 10 years ago. Twitter could have done that 10 years ago, but it's weird they didn't. So that that's like, but again, like you got to give them a few months to get some of this stuff off the ground. And YouTube could have incorporated, like you look at the YouTube platform where you have comments, but the comments don't go viral because they're not interconnected with anyone. They're only on the page. It's like YouTube could simply have had a vertical, microblogging platform on YouTube. Like you just scroll to a different section, and maybe they didn't want to do it because they'd have to incorporate advertising into it in a different way. But that's not an insurmountable hurdle to put a microblogging, a Twitter platform clone on YouTube. You could have done that 10 years ago, and yes, you could have had ads on it, and it would have been another avenue because people want to like, the most important part of the videos are the comment section, where if you've got like the feminist frequency where they turn off comments and they turn off downvotes, or I guess that was YouTube did that, but they turn all that stuff off. It's like people want to interact with the chat. That's what makes things exciting. Like all these platforms, they could have done a lot of these things, but it's like when it's a leadership of the company. You look at Twitter, it's like Twitter definitely has somebody who's having fun with it right now. And the guy's got a whole history, like love him or hate him. I don't know the first thing about Elon Musk or Tesla, but he's got excitement behind him in a way that all the other platforms don't. And to be fair, stuff like Xing, Odyssey, and Gab have excitement, but they're so much smaller companies. They're just like one, just a fraction of the size of Twitter, but they are a freer speech platform. So there's like, it's a smaller community, which is kind of tripping. Oh, we're on the left wing. We're going to leave Twitter for Mastodon. Oh, wait, how the hell does Mastodon work? I have no idea. It's like, yeah, it's not, I don't think it's modded. I don't know. There's too many platforms. I'm not going to worry about another one. Anyway, if like I look at the YouTube and I go like, for the money they have in YouTube and the infrastructure and the people, it seems like you should have been improving this thing. Like Odyssey has improved. Odyssey improves every month. They're getting better and better and better, and they are like a fraction of the monetization, of the market capitalization of YouTube. And you go, YouTube is like, so it feels like when a company gets to a certain size, it might be the leadership's fault, but they just kind of rest. They just kind of are content to enter that grandfather phase because they know you're always going to go to YouTube for the girls in the low cut tops with the boobs, the SS Sniper Wolf. I've never seen an SS Sniper Wolf video, but people talk about her, and it's like they talk about that concept of why that video makes so much money. Like someone did an analysis of how the camera gets in close to her. And I always thought, like, listen, if you're a high school chick and you're good looking, you could like get on YouTube for the next 15 years, just stay skinny and just start doing those kind of stupid videos. You could be a multimillionaire by the time you're ready to kind of turn your YouTube channel into like a family channel, like show you raising your kids. It's like you could live on YouTube and just be, like all you have to be is skinny, either attractive or know how to do your makeup, and like learn how to talk on YouTube. It's like, but you can take years to learn how to talk on YouTube as long as that's the power of the female form on YouTube. You look at like Shion Head, to her credit, she was good kind of right from the beginning. Anyway, so Twitter has excitement behind it, even without Trump, which is the Twitter is it's at its most active now than it's ever been, and everyone on it is going like, we'll get into this. Everyone on, oh, it's already 10 minutes. That's what that dimming screen means. Everyone on it is already like, they're trying to say how much they hate it, and it's falling apart. It's like it's working just fine. Is it going to have some hiccups in the next few months? For sure, because he fired a bunch of people and is going to hire a bunch of people back. Again, like left or right, you have to. I know Cat Turd lost his mind over some of this stuff, and when he said the tweet about reach, not I don't know, freedom of speech, not reach, or something like that. It's like the right lost their mind. It's like, again, just give him some time. Anyway, so a few things are going on simultaneously. Elon buys Twitter, and just the image of this, the HR and the diversity, inclusion, and equity teams. It's like, yeah, you can fire all the diversity teams, 100%. HR, you need a little bit, but the image where you've got like two guys sitting at a desk having a meeting, and the two women who are just like walking and drinking coffee. It's like, yeah, that's what HR or like HR you kind of understand, but so we have a diversity team. Oh no, you don't. They're fired. Yeah, fire all the diversity teams. Go ahead and give yourself a raise, and you're gonna just we're not even gonna have a diversity branch at all. We're just have a little human resources. Like we'll have one person for human resources. One person, you're it. You can give yourself a raise, but you fire everyone else. Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, you just run it to the extent that you can run it, and we don't need any diversity. But this one image of like the two girls walking around drinking coffee. I don't know if you saw that video on Twitter about the girls' day at the life of Twitter. It's like they have a stretching room, which I guess I can kind of understand. A coffee bar, okay, I can understand that. But then like endless meetings, you look at these meetings, like, so it doesn't seem very, like meetings aren't as productive as you think they are, as opposed to just having one person in charge, kind of like top down, telling other people what to do, and then other people kind of work their way up, and then you give them responsibility. It kind of seems like that's more streamlined. But they had a wine bar at Twitter, and look at that, like that's something you can't have. Coffee, yes, I can understand. Coffee and lunches, fair enough. A stretching room, okay, I can understand a stretching room. You're sitting at a desk, you want to get in there and do some lower back stretches. That makes sense. The wine bar at Twitter, like that's just liability all over the place. It's like you can send them a case of wine at Christmas, but no, you cannot have wine at work. So a few things are going on simultaneously with Twitter. He buys Twitter and he loosens up the rules a little bit, but you also fired a bunch of deadweight, including the human resources and the diversity, inclusion, and equity. Yes, I know they switched the I and the E, but it's like they're telling you what they're telling you. Oh, it's DEI. It's like, yeah, but if you switch the I and the E, it just says die. Oh, that's kind of weird. Yeah. Globalists are really weird. It's part of the humiliation ritual. Anyway, so he fires a bunch of the deadweight. And Facebook fired a bunch of like over 11,000 people, and that is down $15 billion, which is a longer, weirder video, which I actually tried to make. I made it for the members, and I'm going to try to do it again. What he did is like a mind control virtual reality experiment. I think I'll do that either on the members of the Odyssey stream or something, because it's kind of a weirder, like we're going to build the Matrix. Like, yeah, people are kind of aware about that, like the science fiction horrors of living in the Matrix. But the thing is, tech in general has taken a downturn across all the, Uber, Lyft, Amazon, a bunch of other platforms too. And here's the funny thing: human resources and DI is disproportionately affected. So I went through this Fortune article on how the globalists at Fortune think that firing HR and DI could spell trouble for the companies, except they don't say how. The article, read fast, is worried about firing corporate diversity teams, but they never make the point in the article to show how diversity brings value to the company. They never make that simple connection to say, if diversity inclusion teams, then return on investment, like that very simple tautological statement. I don't know what you call those logical statements. But it's like that should be the bottom line. The first thing is like, oh, this diversity team, it cost us X, but it brought in X plus 0.1. It was 10% positive net investment. Like they don't say that, because guess why they don't say that? Listen, they go, hey, I got this investment idea for the company. It brought in 10% net. Like, oh, hey, great, congratulations, give yourself a little raise on that one, buddy. Good job. That's what you lead with. You're like, yeah, it made 10%. Everyone give them a nice round of a golf clap, and give them the white business cards, like bone business cards with ebony print. That bastard. But you would lead with that. You would lead with that big accomplishment, but they don't lead in this article with that accomplishment because it's nowhere to be found because it doesn't effing exist. I'm trying to say it doesn't bring the company any return on investment. It costs money. So you're saying like, oh, so this is like ideological, right? So wait, is this some kind of religion? Yeah, this is going to be a long video. Yeah, it is. It is kind of a religion. Don't say anything in the comments, for God's sake. Spelling words backwards doesn't fool the YouTube algorithm. I'm talking to you. I'll spell it backwards, or I'll use this commonly used euphemism that YouTube has seen a million times before. Yeah, they've seen it a million times before. You're not, just go on Telegram, please, or better yet, go on Subscribestar, because then that's $2 a month. I'm trying to say, pay me. They say it's short-sighted to fire their dead weight because when the economy turns around and the diversity team, well, I don't know, you're heading into a civil war and a World War III. So when the economy turn around, all you say is buy a lot of white rice. It has a long shelf life, and at least one Liberty device and a sufficient fuel for that Liberty device. You don't need to go overboard with it. It's like just self-D is fine. Like even well, it's another video, and it's kind of a tricky video to make. Anyway, and the diversity teams get hired back when the economy turns around. They go, well, they'll have to start from zero with these fresh diversity teams. Except the article never explains why the diversity teams would ever get rehired, because the article never explains how diversity improves the bottom line, because it doesn't. This is a long, convoluted article. Well, I guess it's not that convoluted. I guess I'm just dumb. He's talking about treasury yields and how debt and without easy money for tech sectors. But then at the end of the middle of the company, he uses boldface to explain essentially that you got to fire like the human resources and the diversity inclusion teams because they're dead weight. They just it's a more complicated explanation of what I just said. Like you're firing. You had people, like, you hired people for ideological reasons, for woke reasons. Like the human resources. Yes, you might need like a little bit, a certain one per how many employees, but the diversity teams and that kind of like that woke stuff, like the Coca-Cola, try to be less European. That kind of that kind of ideological stuff. That's they're doing that for a different reason. It's social reengineering. Like, there's a lot of stuff that's going on now, and just say it. Well, you can't say it on YouTube, but like, to talk about it at first sounds a little tinfoil hat. But the thing is, like, they're taking off the mask. They're outing themselves so much. You look at it, and you're like, listen, hey, normies, we're gonna drag you kicking and screaming. I was listening to Yellow Flash now and then. He's interesting because he sounds like a normie, and I don't mean that as an insult, who's slowly going down the rabbit hole. And you should go down the rabbit hole, even if you discover, like, not everyone wants to burn the bridges or burn the ships behind them. I get that. But you should go down the rabbit hole to know where the dragons are on the geograph on the map. So, like, if you choose to avoid them, that's on you. Like I said, be the message, spread the message, or financially support the message. Like, you don't have to go down that pathway, but at least you can financially support people who do who are on various other platforms. But to know what areas you have to avoid, like, don't get me wrong, I'm burning bridges left and right. I'm fine with that. But like, if you're in this golden cage on YouTube, which is fine, you have to go down the rabbit hole sufficiently to know what areas that are haram. But you have to go down there to discover it, and then you just have to bite your tongue if you want to stay in the golden cage, which is fine. Like I said, like, if you're in a golden cage on some sort of public platform and you're making so much money, it's like you could use some of that money to support other channels on Odyssey, Bit Chute, other various platforms who are not in the golden cage. It's like you don't have to sacrifice yourself. That's another video. Anyway, where's I going with this? But you do have to go down the rabbit hole, because otherwise you might inadvertently stumble on something. You go like, yeah, I got my channel. I got kicked off the channel. I got kicked off all these things. It's like, what did you do? It's like, oh, I have no idea. It's like, well, because you stumbled into forbidden territory because you didn't know. You thought all things were equal. It's like, well, you're gonna have to read Animal Farm first, and then like read Twitter for 3 months, and you'll kind of learn like, oh, some animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. Don't say anything in the comments. So what happens is companies discover that they didn't need diversity teams at all, and human resources was way overstaffed. Yeah, it's exactly what happened. So tech companies also have this unwritten agreement to keep these woke employees, but the companies that fire them are going to be they're going to be way more profitable. They're going to outperform the woke companies who are essentially subsidizing soy boys and cat ladies. My point being, if tech companies got rid of the woke employees, then the vibe of those companies will slowly change. With Twitter in specific, if Twitter dials back the woke even just a little bit, then Twitter is going to be the place to be, because there's a lot of excitement on Twitter right now in a way that is just not on the other platforms, which then puts Facebook in the position of dialing back the globalist propaganda or getting left behind. And Facebook is already down $15 billion because they tried to build the Matrix. But nobody was interested in a virtual reality Facebook that is a safe space, politically correct echo chamber. Um, it's just by, like, you look at Facebook and you look at Zuckerberg and you're like, yeah, I'm not interested in anything this lizard has to offer at all. It's like, you come on, like, you could fund a study for $1 million looking at, like, oh, so is the infrastructure in place for this kind of VR stuff? Yeah, but the network isn't, and then the end user infrastructure is not really in place, or it's like at a price point it's too high. But mostly the networks, like, you could build a building where you went to a building like a tourism thing and you had that kind of VR experience. But to transmit, like, we're not Iceland where they've got the fastest, or Japan or South Korea. It's like America's kind of a second and third world s-hole where we just don't have that kind of network infrastructure because of other differences. So predictably, the cat ladies and soy boys are outraged. They're raging about how Twitter is horrible, but they're communicating this message on Twitter, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And they don't seem to understand that irony. It's like even people who are not on Elon's side are pointing that out. It's like, you're on Twitter right now and things seem to be working just fine. They seem to have gotten, the only difference is, like, there's a little bit more free speech for sure, because I'm still on there and I should have been kicked off by now. And there's less bots, and that's about the only difference. Oh, and he's enforcing the rules against some people in the left wing, but he kicked some people off for violating the rules. But then he let on. I don't know, Andrew Tate, who I don't know the first thing about, Kathy Griffin, and some other people. They let them back on, and like, the left is outraged. Like, of course you should let back on our left wing people, but you can't let back those right wing people. They're Jordan Peterson was off. I don't. He just seems like a con man to me. But like, once you're over 25, you should be done with gurus. Like, read whatever you want, but, like, to look up to anyone. It's kind of, and except your ancestors. So Twitter is going to be just fine. He fired the dead weight and he kept the core, and over the next few months he's going to hire new people who want to work on the new Twitter, which is good. You got to get rid of people who are ideologically completely opposed. And most of employees are Indian, what do you call it, H3 visas or something. So they really don't care what they're doing. It's like they're just brought in for a little bit. No, never mind. So I've been on Twitter. I mean, it's just challenge not to speak on important issues. It's a shame we don't have free speech on social media. So I've been on Twitter for the past 2 weeks. It works perfectly. I'm probably just about to be asked to leave that platform. It's like, I can just get another email, friend. I'll get back on, which makes me realize that a lot of tech companies are probably top heavy, which, as he points out here, there's no reason to have those kind of human resources. Like, if you're a company for engineers, it should be engineer focused, engineer top down. So the soy people are worried about Elon because if he allowed a more fair approach, the left wing is going to lose power, which is absolutely on its way to happening. And as that pendulum swings, white rice, liberty devices, get to know your neighbors. If the right has free speech, they win. That's how simple it is. It's like the left wing can't meme. There's actually a longer explanation between the left wing, because the left wing is evil. They're lying to you. They can't convey simple ideas. They have to, and the thing is, I say this objectively, they have a history of being evil, of, like, fertilizing fields with their own people. If the right has free speech, we win. So obviously Google and Apple and the banks are the gatekeepers. But I suppose if you want to, you could start your own app store. You could sell your own phones and tablets. You could make your own operating system. Like, that's not as weird as it sounds. I mean, you could have the tablets and phones commissioned in China, South Korea, Japan, anywhere you want. And, like, they're running the same hardware. It's just you install your own operating system. You're like, okay, we're going to have an app store. Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll even set up the tablet so you can dual load from like a Kindle. I'm using Kindles, and you download The Google stuff, it's really easy. A couple pieces of software, so you can use the Google App Store and use Kindle and Google interchangeably. And I've done it on all the Kindles. It works perfectly. You could even do that. Have I don't know, like your own Unix type operating system, your own tablet, and okay, we got our own app store, and we're gonna have a little bit more, less censorship. And they go, oh well, Mastercard is actually the one who controls the financial institutions. So it's like then Congress needs to look at Mastercard and Bank of America and Chase Bank and Wells Fargo because we really should have free speech. It seems to be a core foundation of America. Is this concept of free expression. It's not. It's the government. It's free expression. Yeah, we're talking about the concept of free expression and not the enumerated restrictions on government power. The concept. Do you value the concept? Do you value free expression, the open marketplace of ideas? A lot of people on the left, they go, no, not for hate speech. And go, can you define hate speech? And who would you entrust with that godly power to censor? And how would you prevent them from political machinations that favor their own party? Who would you give that godlike power to? Oh, I give it to my side. No shit. That's the point of free expression. That's why in game theory, like there's no answer to censorship. You can't have censorship because there's no one you trust to censor. You have to have a free and open marketplace of ideas. Yeah. Examination, cross-examination. You bring up an idea, someone counters it, and you let people decide. Oh, but that's liberty. We can't have liberty. If you don't have liberty, you have slavery. Yeah, someone needs to. Again, it's like you're just removing this concept to someone else to say someone else needs to censor us, as long as it's your side. As long as it's Nina Jankowicz. Yeah, I don't want Nina Jankowicz censoring me. I don't want anyone censoring me or you. Commie, Nazi, whatever your idea is. It's like you should be entitled to that platform. Let people decide all for themselves. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, join the Subscribe Star if you can. Thanks to Ireland Wargoose Vegan Box of Frogs, and I will see you guys all next episode.